Whenever you're starting an SEO campaign of any size, the very first step that you need to do is document. And there are 3 things that I think that it is critical that you document off the start of the bat. And that is documenting the traffic that you're getting right now, document the rankings that you've got right now, and document your current site information before you start changing anything. Let's look at those 3 one at a time. How many of you guys have Google Analytics installed on your website? That's the most widely used. It's free, it's very powerful. More people are familiar with that than anything else. If you don't have Google Analytics properly installed on your website, that's the very first step. Before you can see if you've made progress, made any positive movements, you've got to have some track record of history about what's going on. And so we get involved with a lot of clients where they aren't tracking what's going on. And the very first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that Google Analytics is installed so that we can set a baseline. If they've hired us to help them improve their situation, we need to know where they were before with some data, as opposed to just saying, I think that we're not getting any traffic, or, oh, we're getting a lot of traffic. We need to have some analytical information here, and Google Analytics is the right place to start. You also need to document where you rank. So most of the time when we're working with somebody, they will want to rank for a particular keyword phrase or something like that, and that's fine. We get a little more involved into searcher intent as opposed to just keyword research, but it's perfectly fine to say, hey, I want to rank number 1 on Google for something. And so a great way to start is to document where do you actually rank for that now. And in 2009, I was making a proposal to a salon in Miami, and so we documented in 2009 what are the search results on Google when you type in Miami salons. And you had a local 10-pack before the 7-pack, and then you had some organic results down here. And so if you've got this information, then afterwards, after you've made some progress, you can compare it to the current results on Google. And so here's the same search today. And so 6 years later, guess what? The client that didn't hire me, still not ranking. Okay? But it's valuable to see where you were before and where you were after. Make sure you're gathering this documentation. And it's perfectly fine to do some spot checking of where you rank on Google, but there's a lot of potential for flaws and biases if you're just doing spot checking and pulling up Google to see where you rank. The best way to document where you're ranking is inside Google Search Console. How many of you guys know that Google Webmaster Tools has changed their name to Google Search Console? They just did that recently. It's a tool set by Google. It's always been called, well, most recently, it's been called Google Webmaster Tools, or GWT. And they just recently changed the name to Google Search Console. There's a lot of information in there. This is another free tool from Google. There's a lot of information in there. Google will tell you where do you rank and on what different words and phrases, query strings, keywords, and it will give you some historical data, and it will allow you inside of Google Search Console to see, are you going up, are you going down, are you getting more impressions, are you getting more clicks? So valuable information inside of Google Search Console. The final thing that I encourage you to document on the front end is your site information. At minimum, you want to document all the different pages that you have. So document all the URLs, document the titles that you have, the meta descriptions, the heading tags, those things. It's important to document those things. We use a tool called Screaming Frog. There's a free version and there's a paid version of Screaming Frog, but it will basically go out and spy to your website and allow you to see in a nice kind of spreadsheet format that type of information that's there. Because if you make changes to these pages over here, and there is some improvement in your other metrics that you're looking at, it would be nice to know, what did we start with and how much did we change it? Should we tweak it again a little bit so that you can document these things? That make sense? Great. Those are the 3 things that if you're starting any size SEO campaign, that I would start with the documentation of.